Hi, welcome to Flow and Go. So all you'll need today is a strap or some kind of equivalent, so you can use a towel or something like that if you haven't got a strap. Otherwise, just you and your mat. So we're going to do lots of getting into the shoulders today and also opening up the rest of the body, but lots of work on the arms and shoulders. So feel free to take and leave whatever feels good. If your arms start to feel a bit tired, then feel free to let go of the strap at any time. So coming to start in a seated position, so whatever feels comfortable for you, you can be cross-legged, you can be kneeling, a place where you feel that you can kind of be for a good few minutes. And then allowing the eyes to close when you're ready and seeing where the hands kind of naturally fall. Maybe they fall into the lap, maybe they come onto the thighs or onto the knees. So seeing what feels comfortable for you today, what feels natural. And then allowing yourself to have a few minutes at the beginning of class today to connect with your breathing, observing what's going on as you inhale and you exhale. And it might be that as you begin to notice the breath, that maybe it automatically starts to come a little bit deeper and a little bit slower over time. So allowing the breath to do that if that's what feels good. Often our breath gets caught high up in the chest. It can be quite shallow throughout the day, so allowing it to settle down, enter the body a little bit more deeply. Noticing how it feels to draw your attention to your breath, to bring it away from everything else that's going on. What does it feel like right now as you breathe in and out? What sensations do you experience in your body? What parts of your body move to accommodate the breath? Take in a couple more moments here, right at the beginning of your practice. On your next inhale, allowing your eyes to open. And maybe if you've had your legs crossed, maybe switching the cross of the legs, just to challenge the body to be in a different place to its normal. And seeing how that feels. Might feel a little weird. So grabbing hold of your strap when you're ready. If you've got a strap where you have a buckle, you might decide that you want to pop your strap through the buckle and create a kind of slightly wider than shoulders width length. Or you can just hold on to it like this with your hands if you want. So if you have got a metal buckle, just making sure that that end's definitely in your hand, not on the loose bit, so you don't whack yourself in the face. So taking hold of it in the hands and putting the hands down by the knees first of all, and really getting a feeling of bringing the strap taut, so drawing the hands away from each other and noticing what happens in the upper body, the engagement in the arms that's already going on even with the hands down by the ground. And then keeping that engagement as you inhale, lifting the strap up and over your head. So reaching up through the body, through the crown of the head. If you notice you're arching in your lower back, seeing about tucking the lower ribs in slightly, that will help you to get the spine longer. And then still drawing the hands away from each other, keeping your strap nice and taut. Inhale, reaching tall. And then exhaling, taking a twist to the right. So lower body stays where it is, upper body twist. So this can be as far as you want. It can be a little twist. It can be a deeper twist. Inhaling back to center, keeping the arms engaged. If you can, of course, at any point you can lower them if you want. Or release the strap. Exhaling onto the other side. Inhaling to center. And then reaching up again. Maybe there's space to even allow the arms to come back a little bit, seeing what feels good for you, what feels nice for the shoulders. And then as you exhale, bringing the hands forward. And maybe you also begin to round the body forward. Now, keeping the hands off the ground here, so reaching forward with the arms, keeping the strap taut as you fold forward. So even if you're folding forwards further, still keeping the strap off the ground. So even if you're taking a deep fold, keeping the strap lifted, keeping the arms engaged. 2 more breaths here. On your next inhale, rising up, 1 more reach. And then lowering down, having a lot of shake of the arms, giving them a release. So popping your strap so that it's accessible at the front of your mat, because we'll use that again in a little bit. And finding your way onto all fours when you're ready. So once you get onto all fours, taking a moment to check that everything's in alignment, so hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips, and then seeing if you can find some engagement through the core of the body. So if you notice in your all fours position, you naturally kind of allow the belly to sink a little bit, seeing if you can find some engagement, pressing into the hands, rounding through the shoulders and broadening, and then also engaging through the core and seeing how maybe that feels different, how that feels a little bit more solid. And from here, option to come into a balance, or you can just take a couple of cat-cows if that's what you feel that you need. If you're coming through the balance, then starting off by lifting the left leg from the ground, reaching away with the ball of the left foot. And then if you'd like to, you can also lift the right arm from the ground, reaching away with the fingertips, thumb to the sky. So again, seeing if you can engage through the core here. So have a little think if the lower back seems to be arching and the belly's coming down, seeing if you can draw the spine long and wrap around with the waist and then reaching front to back, fingers to toes. And then exhale, bringing hand and foot down. And maybe taking a little kind of circle with the hips if that feels good. Releasing the lower back. And then coming on to the other side, so getting yourself nice and grounded, getting that feeling of engaging through the core, pressing through the hands. And once you've got that feeling of engagement, you're feeling strong in this position, lifting up the right leg, reaching away with the ball of the right foot. And then maybe you lift up the left arm as well. So really seeing if you're able to get that feeling again of the core engaging, just like you were before you lifted the hand. And still pressing through that right hand so that you get the feeling of engaging through the shoulders as well. Reaching away as firmly as you can with your fingertips to your toes, gaze down on the mat. One more breath. And exhaling, lowering everything down, taking some circles through the hips or whatever feels good. You can take a cat-cow if you like. And then finding a way back to center, tucking the toes underneath, pressing through the hands so that engagement again through the shoulders and the core. And then lifting the hips up and back, downward facing dog. So if this is your first downward dog of the day, you might want to start with a nice generous bend in the knees. Then maybe you begin to take a little pedal of the feet, just to gently open up the back of the legs, feeling into what's going on for you today. So noticing how your body is feeling, whether it feels open and spacious, whether it feels tight. And taking a breath in downward dog in the center when you're ready. On your next inhale, up onto the tiptoes, and then stepping the feet forward in between your hands, coming to meet in halfway lift at the top of your mat. And exhale, releasing forward fold. So again, if this is your first forward fold of the day, you might want to take a bend in the knees. You might want to take a little ragdoll. And then releasing the hands down and taking a micro bend in the knees as you rise all the way up to stand nice and slow. Inhale, reaching the arms out to the side, up overhead. And exhale, coming down through the center, back into forward fold. Inhaling, drawing the spine long, halfway lift, hands come to shins. And then exhaling into forward fold, grabbing hold of your strap and getting that feeling again of pulling one end of the strap away from the other, making the strap nice and taut. Taking a micro bend in the knees, inhale, rolling up through the spine, keeping the strap taut. And strap comes up over the head and straightening the legs. Maybe you reach back a little bit with the arms, getting a feeling of opening up the chest. As you exhale, taking a twist over to the right. So coming through a little bit like we did at the beginning, but in a standing position. Inhaling to center. Exhaling to the left. Inhaling to center. And exhale, bending the knees and rolling all the way down. Bringing the hands by the feet, stepping your feet back into plank pose. And then from here, coming through your version of vinyasa. So it might be that for this first one, you want to bring the knees down, untucking the toes and lowering down all the way. So I'm just going to lower down part way and take a variation. When you lower down, inhaling upward dog or cobra, and then exhaling downward facing dog. So feel free to keep that little pedal through the feet if you want. Feel free to keep the knees bent, checking in that the head's nice and soft and heavy, so you're not holding any tension in the neck. As you inhale, up onto your tiptoes, stepping, walking, floating, coming to meet in halfway lift. Exhaling, releasing into forward fold. Taking hold of your strap, little bend in the knees, And then rising up into chair pose, so bending knees, hips move backwards, arms reach forwards, and rising up. So taking a couple of breaths in chair pose again, seeing if you can tuck the lower ribs in, bringing length to the lower back. You can let go of the strap at any time. Maybe you can sink the hips a little lower. And then releasing forward fold. We'll come through that one more time. So as you inhale, bending the knees, rising up chair pose. Seeing if you can allow the shoulders to draw down and away from the ears, keeping the strap taut, keeping that engagement through the legs, and then rising up to stand. And exhale, you can lower the hands down. Taking a nice wide step down the mat. So, seeing if you can get the edges of the feet parallel with the edges of the mat. Doesn't have to be super wide. You don't have to feel like you're doing the split. So, if you're kind of struggling here, then move the feet in a little closer together. That's okay. Inhale, we'll keep hold of the strap still and lifting up. Getting a feeling of opening up through the chest. Maybe the arms can move back a little bit, seeing if you can keep the spine long. Tucking the lower ribs in, so not arching through the lower back. And then taking a little side bend, so lowering the arms down to the right hand side. Inhaling to center and lowering down to the left side. So opening up through the side body. Inhaling to center. And then folding forward from the hips to halfway. So spine's long, like as if you're in halfway position. Gaze is down to the mat. Reaching the hips to the back of your mat. So your body's parallel with the floor, arms are parallel with the floor, keeping that engagement if you can for a couple more breaths. And then exhale, taking a fold forward. You can either let the arms dangle, or if the arms reach the ground, you can bring the hands to the ground. And then inhale, rising up, bringing hands to hip, leading with the chest. And you can leave the strap over to the side if you want now. Stepping back to the top of the mat. When you get there, inhale, arms reach up overhead. Exhale, hinging at the hips, down into forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift, drawing the spine long. Exhaling, hands by the feet, stepping back into plank, coming through vinyasa. So option to bring the knees down again, or you can lower down from full plank or come through chaturanga. So lowering down when you're ready, inhaling, upward dog or cobra, and exhaling, downward facing dog. So really pressing down through the hands here, letting the hips rise up high. Maybe you take a deep breath in, deep sigh out through the mouth. On your next inhale, rising up into your tiptoes, and step, walk, or float, coming to meet in halfway lift. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, slowly rising up to stand, rolling up through the spine. Arms come out to the side, up overhead. And hands to prayer. So from here we'll come into chair pose and add on some eagle arms. If full eagle pose is something that's in your practice, feel free to take that instead. So when you're ready, feet can be together or apart. It's up to you how you prefer to take your chair. Inhaling, reaching the arms forward, lowering the hips, checking that the knees are not beyond the toes, seeing if you can find that length in the spine, and rolling the shoulders down away from the ears. And then lowering the hands down, right arm reaches out in front, palm to the sky. Left arm comes underneath, bending the elbows, and then grabbing hold either of the hands, a thumb, or you can have the palms back to back. From here, reaching the shoulders, the elbows away from the body, and then up slightly. Gaze into the elbow crease. One more breath here, keeping the arms engaged, keeping the legs engaged. And then from here, stepping back into high lunge. So you can either keep the arms as they are, or you can release the arms if that feels better for balance. So stepping back into your high lunge, and then moving the upper body back so it's over the hips. So maybe that you released your hands, and maybe you just want to go for a reach up. That's okay as well. If you release the hands and you want to go back in, it's right hand in front, left underneath, and then creating your bind. One more breath here. Releasing the hands when you're ready. Bringing the back foot flat, and you might want to step that right foot over a little bit to the edge of the mat. Taking a bend in that front knee, opening up warrior two. As you inhale, left hand comes to back thigh, right palm lifts into your reverse warrior. Back into your warrior two. Bringing your hands to your waist, and then lifting that back heel again and bringing the hips forward into high lunge. And then from here, seeing if you can step to the front in one go, pressing off the back foot, grounding down with the front. Bringing the hands to prayer when you get there. A little shake out if you want, arms and legs. Let's come through on the other side. So inhale, arms reach up overhead. Exhale, releasing, forward fold. Inhaling, finding your halfway lift. Exhaling, hands by the feet, bending the knees, stepping back into plank and coming through your version of Chaturanga when you're ready. Inhaling, upward dog or cobra. And exhaling to downward facing dog. Taking a couple of breaths here, allowing the body to sink down into the ground while the hips rise up. On your next inhale, up onto the tiptoes, stepping, walking, floating, coming into halfway lift at the top of the mat. Exhaling, releasing, forward fold. As you inhale, bending through the knees and rising up into your chair pose. We'll come into the eagle arms on the other side. So finding your chair first of all, really sinking down. Hands come to the waist. And then left arm out in front this time, palm to the sky. Right arm underneath, bending the elbows, bringing the hands together in your wrap. And then as you inhale, the elbows move up and away from the body. Feeling that opening in the upper back, gaze to the elbow crease. If this was too intense, you can always take arms to hands to shoulders instead in a kind of a hug. From here, coming back into our high lunge, so option to keep the arms as they are or release. Stepping right foot back and then moving the upper body back so that it's over the hips if you can. Keeping a bend in that front knee, keeping the arms engaged, lifting up and away from the body, and then releasing the arms, grounding down the back foot. You can bring that left foot out to the side a bit more if you want, bending through the front knee, opening up warrior two. As you inhale, flipping that front palm and coming into reverse warrior. Back into your warrior two. Hands come to the waist, lifting up that back heel, coming into your high lunge, and then seeing if you can step forward in one go to the front of the mat. Once you get there, you can have a little shake out, hands, feet, arms. And then bringing the feet to hips width apart if they're not already there. Rising up onto the tiptoes, finding something to focus on in the distance. Maybe bringing the hands to prayer. Seeing how it feels to be up here. Totally okay to wobble and fall out. So noticing all that engagement that we've been working on today, the tucking of the lower ribs, the engagement of the legs. And then from here, seeing if you can lower down, keeping the toes lifted all the way down into a squat. So you can keep the hands in prayer, you can bring the hands to the thighs if you want, and at any point you can bring your hands to the floor. So lowering down nice and slow, really hanging on this bottom bit. And then when you get there, bringing hands behind the body and coming to sit in a cross-leg position. Once you get comfortable in your cross legs, interlacing the fingers, pressing the palms away, and then tucking the chin, rounding through the spine. Taking another breath here, allowing the body to release. And then releasing the hands and bringing the hands in front of the body to take a forward fold. So you can come down as far as you want. Maybe you just stay here. Or maybe you want to come down onto elbows and allow the head to come down towards the ground. Letting your upper body be heavy here, allowing it to let go a little bit. Couple more breaths wherever you are. On your next inhale, walking the hands back in. Bringing a hand onto each knee, and on your exhale, left hand comes to right knee, right hand behind the body, opening up into a little gentle twist. Inhaling, finding your way back to center, and exhaling, right hand to left knee, left hand behind the body, and twisting over to the left. Inhaling back to center. As you inhale, reaching the arms up, finding length in the spine. Exhaling, opening the arms into a cactus shape, an option to take lion's breath or a big sigh. And then bringing the hands down. Nice way to release at the end of a really tough practice. So finishing off today, bringing the legs wide. and allowing yourself to come into any kind of forward fold or wide leg position that feels good. So it may be that you feel good to just bring the hands behind the body, press into the hands and find length through the spine. Maybe it feels really good to just be here and allow the eyes to close. If you feel very comfortable in this pose, you haven't got any rounding through the lower back, you can bring hands in front. And of course, if you'd like to, you can begin to walk hands forward, coming down onto forearms, onto elbows, and allowing a bit of softness through the upper body. So whatever feels good for you today, taking a few breaths, allowing the body to open up, to be heavy, to release after all of that hard work. You can flex through the feet if you want a little bit more opening in the hamstrings. And then inhale, walking hands back in. If you took that fold, hand underneath each knee, bringing the knees together. And then hands come behind the body and allowing just a little windscreen wiper through the legs to let them release. And from here, moving into Shavasana. So deciding how you want to take your Shavasana today. Maybe you'd like to lie down on the ground and open up and surrender your body to the mat. So if that feels good, then go for it. You can be seated, you can have legs up the wall. So finding the place that feels really good for you today, that feels really nourishing for you today. And once you get there, allowing your eyes to close, allowing the body to release, to open. So if you're lying down on the mat, maybe seeing if you can allow your feet to open up to the sides and allow the whole of the back of your body to sink down into the ground. Notice it becoming heavier and connected with the earth. Finding space through the jaw, forehead, eyebrows. Allowing your breath to go back to normal. Noticing how your body feels at the end of practice today. Breathing into any new areas of openness. Maybe there's more space in the shoulders, in the chest. Taking a few moments here in your Shavasana. So staying here for at least a few more minutes if you can today. Allowing yourself to take the full benefits of this final and very important pose. Thank you for joining me today. Namaste.